back to Out of the Rough. I'm joined by my good friend Andre Stokes. Andre Stokes is managing director with Calabasas Capital and a fellow provisor along with myself.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Tell us about Calabasas Capital. Why do you do what you do? How do you help people?
Sure. So I'll start by saying I worked on Wall Street for a number of years. Worked at both Bear Stearns and Credit Suisse.
Bear Stearns, they like to do mortgages back in the day. That's what got them in trouble.
Right, right. But when you're working at a large company like that, you're working with large corporations, and so they're very talented. They have very talented people and very smart, and so the value that we really add in those situations, I think, is limited compared to what I do now, which is working with smaller companies, entrepreneurs, family-owned businesses. And they don't have the resources that a large Fortune 500 company does. And so being able to help them achieve their objectives through mergers and acquisitions and capital raising, which is what we do, is very powerful. Now
let's talk about that, because one of the biggest challenges business owners face, entrepreneurs face, is capital, money. And there's the article you wrote recently on subordinate debt financing, mezzanine debt, how a hybrid can fuel growth.
Yes.
And it was in Banking and Finance magazine, Business Journal. Tell us about mezzanine financing or subordinate debt.
Sure. So one of the things that we do in terms of raising capital is we provide companies with subordinated debt. And subordinated debt, you'll also hear it called junior debt, or again, you mentioned mezzanine debt, or sometimes just mezz. And it gets its name, the mezzanine name, because it's between equity and senior secured debt. And so it has benefits and drawbacks of each senior secured and private equity. And so it's a pretty important form of capital for businesses.
It's a great tool to raise money.
Yeah, exactly.
What's pros and cons?
So the pros and cons of subordinated debt is, one, it's let's say you do have senior secured debt with your bank. You can still raise additional capital through subordinated debt because it's second lien. It's not going to be a first lien. The other benefit is that it's less expensive than equity. It's more expensive than senior secured debt, but still, if you're looking for this type of capital, it's a riskier form of capital, but you don't have to worry about potentially as much potential dilution. There may be
dilution in ownership of the company.
Ownership of the company. Now, depending on the size of the company, you may actually give up some equity in the form of warrants, but maybe not. And it's still going to be less dilutive than equity.
A lot to look at then when it comes to it.
It is. And look, I mean, it can be beneficial in when a company is looking to grow. I mean, I like to jokingly say we can raise capital for any legal purpose. So, so if it's an acquisition, if it's to open a new office, enter a new market geographically, working capital, whatever sort of growth capital you need, subordinated debt can make sense. One of the things that companies need to consider, though, is are they comfortable with debt? Can they actually service the debt? And will that, cash flow that's going to service the debt, could that potentially limit the growth of the company where they could use it for growth internally?
Well, let me ask you, we only have a minute together. What are some of the biggest challenges business owners are facing right now, and how you help them?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges is the fact that there is a limited amount of capital, and that companies kind of struggle to get the capital that they need. And so while we work with companies that are kind of from $10 to $100 million of revenue, but even those companies still struggle sometimes to get the capital that they need. And so that's how we're able to help them achieve their objectives. And
you help them provide that gap. Andre, those who want to reach out to you, how can they get you?
So the best place to reach me is email, andre@calabasascapital.com. And our website is www.calabasascapital.com.
Calabasascapital.com. Yep. Well, thanks for being a fellow provisor with me, and thanks for coming into the show and sharing
thanks for having me.
A very important tool that many business owners can use to help leverage their company. Appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
All right.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
We're going to jump to a quick break, and we'll be right back.